the presence of the United States is, as a leading power in the free world, is involved in your work directly. The people who are opposed to aid should realize that this is a very powerful source of strength for us. It permits us to exert influence for the maintenance of freedom. If we were not so heavily involved, our voice would not speak with such vigor. And as we do not want to send American troops to a great many areas where freedom may be under attack, we send you. And you working with the people in those countries to try to work with them in developing the economic thrust of their country so that they can make a determination that they can solve their problems without resorting to totalitarian control and becoming part of the bloc.
Welcome back, our dear subscribers, and stay with us until the end of this video. Do not forget to like, comment and share our video, and to our new viewers, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and enable the notification bell so YouTube can notify you every time we release a video. This is going to be a two-part video. In this video, we are going to trace the origins of the United States Agency for International Development, USAID, the purpose of its formation, and its broad scope of activities over the last 60-plus years of existence up to the end of Joe Biden's administration. In our next video, which is going to form part 2, we will delve much deeper into the major shift in American foreign policy under Trump administration, especially in relation to USAID's activities' possible impacts on the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development adopted by all United Nations members in 2015 that created the 17 World Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs. The modern-day concept of international development assistance took shape after World War II ended in 1945. George C. Marshall, the Secretary of State from 1947 to 1949, provided significant financial and technical assistance to Europe after the war. Famously known as the Marshall Plan, this was a successful effort that allowed Europe to rebuild its infrastructure, strengthen its economy, and stabilize the region. Building on the success of the Marshall Plan, President Harry S. Truman proposed an International Development Assistance Program in 1949. The 1950.4 program focused on two goals: creating markets for the United States by reducing poverty and increasing production in developing countries, and also diminishing the threat of communism by helping countries prosper under capitalism. From 1952 to 1961, programs supporting technical assistance and capital projects continued as the primary form of USAID, and were a key component of U.S. foreign policy. During this time, government leaders established various precursor organizations to USAID, including the Mutual Security Agency, Foreign Operations Administration and International Cooperation Administration. When the United States Agency for International Development, USAID, was created, it brought together several existing foreign assistance organizations and programs. Until then, there had never been a single agency charged with foreign economic development, so with the passage of the Foreign Assistance Act of 1961 by Congress, U.S. foreign assistance activities underwent a major transformation. Leading this transformation was President John F. Kennedy. President Kennedy recognized the need to unite development into a single agency responsible for administering aid to foreign countries to promote social and economic development. On November 3, 1961, USAID was born, and with it a spirit of progress and innovation. President Kennedy signed the Foreign Assistance Act into law and created USAID by executive order. Once USAID got to work, international development assistance opportunities grew tremendously. The time during the Kennedy and Johnson administrations became known as the Decade of Development. To quote President Kennedy, "There is no escaping our obligations. Our moral obligations as a wise leader and good neighbor in the interdependent community of free nations, our economic obligations as the wealthiest people in a world of largely poor people, as a nation no longer dependent upon the loans from abroad that once helped us develop our own economy, and our political obligations as the single largest counter to the adversaries of freedom." In the 1970s, the USAID began to shift its focus away from technical and capital assistance programs. Instead, U.S. development assistance stressed a basic human needs approach which focused on food and nutrition, population planning, health, education, and human resources development. In the 1980s, foreign assistance sought to stabilize currencies and financial systems. It also promoted market-based principles to restructure developing countries' policies and institutions. During this decade, USAID reaffirmed its commitment to broad-based economic growth, emphasizing employment and income opportunities through a revitalization of agriculture and expansion of domestic markets. In this decade, development activities were increasingly channeled through private voluntary organizations, PVOs, and aid shifted from individual projects to large programs. In the 1990s, USAID's top priority became sustainable development, or helping countries improve their own quality of life. During this decade, USAID tailored development assistance programs to a country's economic condition, which meant that developing countries received an integrated package of assistance, transitional countries received help in times of crisis, and also countries with limited USAID presence received support through non-governmental organizations, NGOs. USAID played a lead role in planning and implementing programs following the fall of the Berlin Wall in 1989. USAID programs helped establish functioning democracies with open, market-oriented economic systems and responsive social safety nets. The 2000s brought more evolution for USAID and foreign assistance, with government officials once again calling for reform of how the agency conducts business. With the Afghanistan and Iraq wars in full swing, USAID was called on to help those two countries rebuild government infrastructure, civil society, and basic services such as healthcare and education. The agency began rebuilding with an eye to getting the most bang out of its funding allocations. It also began an aggressive campaign to reach out to new partner organizations, including the private sector and foundations, to extend the reach of foreign assistance. Today, USAID staff have been working in more than 100 countries around the world with the same overarching goals that President Kennedy outlined over 60 years ago, furthering America's foreign policy interests in expanding democracy and free markets while also extending a helping hand to people struggling to make a better life, recover from a disaster, or striving to live in a free and democratic country. It is this caring that stands as a hallmark of the United States around the world. USAID's decentralized network of resident field missions in low-income countries has achieved tremendous progress in disaster relief, poverty relief, technical cooperation on global issues including the environment, U.S. bilateral interests, and socio-economic development in the Global South. As by the end of Joe Biden's administration in 2024, USAID was headquartered at Ronald Reagan Building in Washington, D.C. in United States of America, with over 10,000 employees and an annual budget of over $40 billion. With the new administration under President Donald Trump, USAID as a state agency is set to undergo major changes, including policy realignment and funds freeze whose impact the Global South is yet to see but will definitely have a long-lasting effect, especially in the context of Agenda 2030 on Sustainable Development of United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs. Please join us in our next video as we discuss part 2 of this topic. Thank you for staying with us, and let us know what you think in the comments below, and remember to subscribe to our channel and also like and share our video.